Hi, well, as part of me pulling out my engine, doing my clutch, and a few other little shadoodles, I have to, or I had to, I should say, I've done it already, had to replace all of my, I'm going to say motor mounts, but only one is a motor mount, two are transmission mounts. So, this is the motor mount. It just sits right up inside that pocket. I don't think it varies between any of the years of EXPs. All my first gens, exactly like that. And they're all, I'm going to say, a solid hub. Or, my replacement was a solid hub. The original one was semi-solid. It had some hollow spots in it, but it looked like it was solid. So it was encased in rubber, but it probably had some hollow spaces inside of it. The two tranny mounts. This is the forward. That's bad, and this is the rear that was bad. And you can see that it wasn't straight, which happens because with this one being the rear, there's a lot of torsional force on it because you can see right here it says front. So the side that says front faces the front of the vehicle, and as the tranny, the tranny tends to move backwards a lot. Apparently, it moves backwards a lot more than it does forwards. So then, this mount bushing takes quite the set. Obviously, it's just nasty. It's also been compressed pretty bad. These are supposed to be somewhat vertical, like this. That one's a little bit more rough. This one is the leading one, so it sits like this in the engine bay. One of these two tall flat sides would often say front. And this one has an alignment tab on the bottom of it. Where these mount to, well, I'll start with the front one. Where the front one mounts to, mounts onto that little triangle cross piece that the anti-roll bar mounts onto. And you see a couple holes in there, but there's a few other holes you can't see. One of them is where the little tab goes. It helps for orientation, so that tab faces the front driver's side corner of the vehicle. The rear one doesn't have it, but on the plate it mounts to, you can have the tab in any or which direction you choose if your replacement has a tab like this one did. Because both my tranny replacement mounts were like this guy, and my engine mount was the oddball out. It was just a solid piece, like I said, but they all came in the same box. The two for the tranny had a different part number than the one from the engine, but in theory they are interchangeable. All three of them, I mean. Yeah, they weren't too hard to get at. The one for the engine is the easiest, but that one sucks because you need to either jack up the engine or remove the engine to get to change that one out. Because I'll grab this here so you can picture what's going on. So I grab this here and set it here. This is how it's orientated, and obviously it's supposed to sit inside that pocket. But this is the only thing that the engine uses to hold on to anything aside from the transmission. So once you unbolt this hub from the pocket socket, or the arm that holds the hub from the pocket or socket, your engine will fall as far as it can, and it will try to ruin the two transmission mounts. And you won't want that. It would do a number on your shifting rods, and it'll also do a number on your drive shafts if you let it go like that. So the best way to do it is jack up the engine from underneath, or the reason why I had changed it because it was time to pull it out. So I lifted up the engine from the top right out of the engine bay. That wasn't hard. Doing the leading mount the front mount for the transmission, that was pretty easy. And again, this is on an 82 model. In 84 they changed those to a different mount, but this is the 82 and early 83. But yeah, that front one was pretty easy to get at. You can see the bolt goes straight through it. On 82s again only, and it's just, like I said, it's just a bolt on the one side, and then the nut on the other side is part of the hanger, so there's no nut to deal with. Just put an impactor on the end of that guy, zap it right out, and then do the same on the bottom. The bottom, it's sticking out like that. There we go. You can see that there. I haven't tightened it up yet because I don't have the engine in. Because where these guys were, they were twisting the mounts really bad. Which also didn't help with getting the engine in or out of here, as the transmission would only tilt so far, and tilting it either direction would only lessen my space. So with them free floating like this, it'll be a lot easier to work on. Which is a helpful tip when you're trying to put these back together. Then the rear, like I said, it's the same mount. If you can, yep, you can see that bolt. It's right there on the tip of my finger, just over the boot for the rack. That is the bottom bolt that allows you to move the mount up and down. And then it's got a bolt going through it with a nut on the back. That one's not too pleasant to get at, but you can fit a wrench on the back side behind it to get to it, and go to town any which way you can. But it's important to remember when doing either of these, you need a jack under this or a crane over it. Otherwise it will fall to the ground, you'll ruin your axles will pop out, and you could crack your transmission housing, a few other things. Otherwise, pretty easy. Anyone can do it. But ideally, it's easiest when the engine's out.